the most skillful fighter at 135 would be hands down Shakur Stevens.
In order for people to realize, because all the boxing fans realize, like Shakur is a great example. He's not really a household name, but he should be. I mean, he's an elite fighter. He's so good, but he needs like a big, high-profile fight.
Shakur is an amazing fighter. You know, he's gonna have a great career. Crazy skills, good boxing ability, and I will always be proud of him, always. You know, that's why, even like Shakur, you know, I had a chance to train him the other day in the gym.
He don't think that I should be the B side of this shit. Of this upcoming fight. He think I should be the A side. And he really felt strongly about it, but no, it is what it is, bro. I appreciate Floyd. That's my guy. I wouldn't never say nothing bad about Floyd.
Yeah.
Tonight, Floyd Mayweather pulls no punches as he dissects Shakur Stevenson versus Teófimo Lopez. This isn't hype. It's a masterclass versus mayhem. Skill against eruption. Discipline against chaos. If you think power decides everything, buckle up. Because boxing's sharpest mind is about to rewrite the narrative right before the opening bell. This is Floyd Mayweather Jr.
So Floyd, when you think about the fighters who are fighting now, can you give me your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 when it comes to the lightweight? The lightweight, who you would put where?
Well, you got guys fighting between 130, 135, and 140. They stack, you know, around that area. So, I mean, as of right now,
skills that pay the bills.
The most skillful fighter at 135 would be hands down Shakur Stevens.
And what is it about him? Because I know he have a lot of good attributes, but do you think he has enough power to sustain?
Well, it's really all about skills. Pernell Whitaker wasn't a huge puncher, but he was, I mean, very exciting, very tough, and he fought everybody. And Shakur is trying to do the same thing. He want to fight the best.
Pulling the curtain back on a matchup that separates real boxing brains from casual chaos. Because when Floyd talks about Shakur Stevenson versus Teófimo Lopez, he's not talking about who hits harder, who's louder on Twitter, or who has the flashiest highlights. He's talking about who actually understands the game. And from Floyd's perspective, this fight is a masterclass versus a moment machine. Discipline versus impulse. Chess versus fireworks. Because Floyd makes one thing brutally clear right out the gate.
Y'all already know. I promise you already. T.O. better be working. Cause I promise you I put in so much work this camp. Let's do it. I'm just checking in with y'all real quick, lady.
Shakur Stevenson operates on a different technical wavelength. The kind you don't see unless you've lived inside the ring for decades. The kind that makes elite fighters look confused, rushed, and slightly embarrassed without ever landing a highlight reel knockout. And Floyd knows this lane better than anyone because he built an entire undefeated legacy on making world-class opponents miss, panic, and mentally unravel in real time. And that's exactly why he believes Shakur isn't just good at 135, he's the most skillful fighter in the division, period.
35 contemporaries have a lot to say these days. Shakur Stevenson, well, of course he's now 135 after all that stuff, and then Devin Haney.
Right, so why people even talk like he the best at, he didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 30 or none of that.
He is good.
Okay. How can you, all that's just okay. How can you stop people that can actually hit? No matter all that boxing, you gonna get hit. What you gonna do?
Because Floyd doesn't see boxing as violence, he sees it as economics. And as he famously reminds everyone, skill pays the bills, not raw power, not reckless aggression, not viral moments. And that's where Teófimo's problems begin. Because Teófimo is explosive, emotional, unpredictable, and dangerous. But unpredictability cuts both ways, and Floyd has seen this movie before, where a fighter who relies on eruption runs headfirst into someone who lives off control, timing, and ring intelligence. And once that happens, the fight doesn't end in a bang. It ends in quiet frustration. Because Floyd emphasizes that Shakur doesn't need to hurt you to beat you. He just needs to make you wrong over and over again until you're swinging at air and questioning your own instincts.
You can keep your opponent off balance. For instance, let me just give you an example. It's like Teo explodes. There's a subtlety before he explodes with his offense. And as soon as Shakur sees that, he's anticipating something to come. He knows he's going to explode in. So what does Shakur do? Teo takes a big step in, Shakur takes a big step back. Again, always understanding because he has great eyes, understands boxing very well and movements. And Shakur is going to step out of range and make Teo fall short.
And that's where Floyd's mentor-mentee history with Shakur comes into play. Because this isn't admiration from afar. Floyd has watched Shakur think, adjust, and dismantle opponents in real time. And he knows that Shakur's greatest weapon isn't his hands. It's his patience, because patience is what exposes chaos. And Teófimo, for all his brilliance, thrives on chaos, thrives on rhythm breaks, thrives on emotional surges, and Floyd's warning is simple but devastating. You can't rush a technician without paying a price. And that's exactly where the breakdown deepens, because once Floyd lays the foundation, the rest of the boxing world starts filling in the gaps. And Timothy Bradley Jr. steps in to explain why this fight isn't about who throws harder. It's about who moves better, because Bradley makes it painfully clear that footwork decides everything here, not fists.
For Teo to have his success against Shakur, and what I noticed when Zepeda had success against Shakur was he has to take him in the he has to get to him in the pocket. He has to make Shakur sit in the pocket with him. Teo is a counterpuncher naturally by heart. Like, he's not like an aggressive fighter. He likes guys to come to him. Give you an example. You had a guy, a Barboza, who was going to him, and what did you see? Shakur knows how to play that game of patience, the game of waiting, the game of drawing your offense out, because Shakur, he stays right between that outside and mid-range, and he's like one step away from getting outside of range all the time.
And Teófimo needs his feet planted to explode. He needs balance to unleash those violent combinations that change fights in seconds. But Shakur's entire style is built on denying that foundation, taking half steps back, sliding just out of range, forcing punches to miss by inches. And those inches matter because every miss drains confidence, drains energy, and invites desperation. And Bradley points out that if this fight stays in the center of the ring, it slowly becomes Shakur's playground. Because space is oxygen for a boxer like Stevenson.
With Teófimo Lopez, besides the explosions, man, and the quickness, I watched the big looping left, watched the big looping right, If you can get away from the first step, of Teófimo Lopez, and cut on an angle, he's going to be going exploding straight forward. There's times where Teo leaves his feet. I mean, there's a lot of flaws in Teo's game that I think a guy like Shakur, who's more disciplined, is going to be able to exploit. The way Teo can get this done is that he's going to have to be more aggressive, and that's not his strong suit. He's going to have to get really aggressive. He's going to have to get Shakur on the ropes. He's going to have to work his hands, speed combinations, and do that as often as possible. Because if the fight is fought in the center of the ring, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle if the fight is fought in the center of the ring, man. So the ropes going to have to be Teófimo's friend, meaning pinning Shakur on the ropes. That hand speed and running off those combinations.
And Teófimo needs the opposite pressure, ropes, physical exchanges, moments where chaos overrides calculation. Because without that, Teófimo starts reaching, lunging, and chasing. And chasing is how fighters lose rounds they don't even realize they're losing until it's too late. And that's where the tone of this fight starts to feel almost cruel, because on paper, it looks competitive, explosive, dangerous. But in reality, it could turn into a slow suffocation. The kind where one fighter feels like he's always a second behind the moment, always swinging after the opportunity has already passed.
It's going to be a great fight when it does happen, especially if Teófimo comes in at his best, because we've seen some great performances, but then we've also had those questions about Teófimo's mind, mentality in boxing, his future. So hopefully we get the best Teófimo, the Teófimo that wants to be the best in the world, because we know Shakur is one of those. Shakur always comes in as best. He wants it that bad. So that's just gonna makes it to be a great fight. I can't wait for that one.
And that's when Robert Garcia brings the gym floor realism that sharpens everything, because Garcia doesn't romanticize matchups, he sees them as problems to be solved. And he calls this fight what it really is: high-speed chess. And chess favors consistency, not emotion. And Garcia acknowledges Teófimo's elite moments, because when Teófimo is disciplined, locked in, and emotionally grounded, he can look untouchable. But the key word there is when, because Garcia contrasts that volatility with Shakur's reliability, pointing out that Stevenson shows up sharp every single time.
You know, I've known both of them. I could say I know Teófimo and his dad Junior a little more, so I would probably be cheering for him. But Shakur's been great to us too, man. Shakur, every time we see each other, he's great. You know, in Saudi when we were over there with Virgil, he never had a problem with us training at the same time with him. You know, he's a great dude, man, great person. So it's gonna be a hard pick, because between both of them, it's hard to pick a winner, honestly. Leaving the relationships aside, it's hard. It's difficult. It's difficult because they're both very talented. They both have their own advantages to pull off the win. But in my heart, I'm probably gonna lean towards Teófimo.
Not sometimes, not when he feels like it, not when the energy is right every time. And in elite boxing, consistency is a superpower, because it means you don't beat yourself. And Garcia admits that picking a winner here isn't easy, because both men have advantages. But even his slight lean toward Teófimo comes with a giant asterisk, because it depends entirely on Teófimo staying disciplined long enough to land something meaningful. And discipline has never been Teófimo's comfort zone. And that's where the blunt honesty of Bozy Ennis lands like a cold slap, because Bozy doesn't sugarcoat anything. And he predicts the fight starts technical before slowly turning into a clinic.
I think it's going to be a technical fight from the beginning. And then I think later on, Shakur going to pick him apart, man. He's going to pick him apart. And I gotta tell everybody this, that Wichicombe is real athletic too. Teófimo. So I mean, I don't think it's gonna be an easy fight. You know what I mean? People think, a lot of people say it's gonna be easy and all that. Nah. Teófimo can punch and he can box. And like I said, he's real athletic. So, you know what I mean? That'll make it a little difficult. Right there, they've got the weight and all that. I see Shakur box big guys, light heavyweights and all that stuff. Just like Boots, he box heavyweights and put heavyweights down. You know what I mean? I think that's the right move for him. You know what I mean? Get up, and I think he can really.
Where Shakur begins picking Teófimo apart piece by piece, not violently, not dramatically, but surgically. And Bozy acknowledges Teófimo's athleticism, power, and boxing ability. But he draws a hard line in the sand. Skill for skill, Shakur is on another level, and that line matters, because Bozy reminds everyone that the most dangerous punch in boxing isn't the loud one. It's the punch you don't see coming, and Shakur's entire game is built on invisibility, angles, timing, and speed that doesn't register until it's already cost you the round. And that's why this fight, despite all the hype, isn't really about who wins exchanges, it's about who controls time. Because Shakur steals seconds, moments, and rounds without ever announcing it. If boxing is a science, Shakur Stevenson is the one holding the formula, and unless Teófimo Lopez can rewrite the rules mid-fight, this won't be remembered as a war, it'll be remembered as a lesson.